Man, you ready? Yeah. Concentrate. Let's concentrate go, y'all. With me. What you say? We do this day by day. Yeah. We live like this cause we got it, y'all. Every day I pray.
Yeah. How much of the industry did you learn from those early days? Because you're in the studio learning. Did you learn about, I'm sure you learned about recording the process, but then did you learn about writing and publishing and all those things?
Yeah, we definitely learned some things about writing and publishing. By the time we got signed to Bad Boy, initially we were gonna sign to Uptown Records.
Okay.
Keisha and I had went in the studio and we recorded Juicy. That was our first lesson, because at that time we were just kind of like hanging out. Big was like, come to the studio. And we went in there, we recorded Juicy. We were humming it, and he was like, go in there and put it down. You know, they put the record out. Our manager was really mad. She was like, don't you ever go in the studio without talking about splits and stuff like that. So, you know, we definitely, you know, learned a lot and made mistakes that we learned from during that time.
I mean, if you think about that though, you were in the studio. That was Big. Was he known? Because I know that he did the remix for Mary. That's the first time I really saw him. But by the time he was doing the Juicy, was he known? Did you know who he? I mean,
yeah, I mean Biggie. Like, see, we met Biggie when Puffy was still at Uptown Records. You know, like, so we were friends. Biggie was like our big brother at the time. We were all like, it was mandatory for us to hang out, come to the record label, get to know each other, bond. And in the beginning days of Bad Boy, that's what a lot of it was for us. Like, Puffy was still working at Uptown. He was still working with Jodeci. He was still working with Mary. And we hadn't solidified our deal at Uptown, and rightfully so, because he decided to leave and he took Biggie and Craig Mack and Total with him. We were like his first 3 acts.
Okay, before 112. Okay.
Yeah, before 112. Yeah.
Okay, and so when Biggie's recording his album, and were you just humming to the Juicy track?
Yeah, like, you know very well. Yeah, we were just like singing, and he was like, yo, go put that down. So we did. And, you know, we got a little reprimanded for it because, you know, we forgot about the business piece. You know, that's what it was. It was just hanging out. Everything was always a vibe. And, you know, that's when we learned a big lesson. Like, you don't go in and cut vocals or do anything like that without discussing your splits first. But we were like, oh, okay, but you know.
I mean, was you just excited? It's like, wow, we can just go sing and stuff, and we're going to be featured on a record, or was it?
It was normal. It was customary. We all hung out in the studio with each other. It was nothing for Biggie to call us up and be like, yeah, we lived in Jersey. He was in New York. You know, the party scene was real heavy back then. And it was really nothing for Keisha and I to jump on the train, meet up with everybody. You hang out, you go to the studio, then you go out later. It was just something that everybody did. You know, even with other artists, it was just very customary back then. Everybody kind of like had this bond. The support was there. The morale was there to go in and support each other. Not only your label mates, other people in the industry.
Yeah. The fact that your manager reprimanded you for that, was it a good lesson you learned early on, or did it make no difference?
Well, it was a good lesson. We learned a lesson. In the scheme of things, with the state of Total right now, I don't know that it made any difference, but it was definitely something that I've always, you know, was like, no, you know, let's talk business. Let's put everything on the table first. Because once something is done, it's hard to go back and, you know, discuss business. It's done now. You know what I'm saying? So I know it was something that I stand by to this day.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. And so is after the album, you've cut the stuff on the album, then you start to work on the Can't You See for the New Jersey Drive soundtrack?
Yep. Well, actually, after we did Juicy, that song, we got the offer to do the New Jersey Drive soundtrack, and then we started working on our album.
When Juicy blew up, did it didn't say featuring, Total?
No, it didn't say featuring Total, and that was, us not handling our business. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never supposed to be a feature record, so.
Yeah. But
yeah.
it was a massive track, and it was one of those
really
tracks that crossed over. So it wasn't just a hip hop track like a lot of the back in those days. A lot of the sort of Redman and a lot of those were just really big hip hop in New York. But that crossed over from, I was living in Alabama at the time. Those in LA. Did you realize, wow, we're actually on one of the biggest tracks in the country? Did people believe it was you guys?
Well, yeah, I don't think people really realized it was us until like now recently, the common people would know, but I don't think the masses knew that was Keisha and I on that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it then when you recorded your first single, that Can't You See? I mean, I think for the rest, for us who are outside, hearing sort of the beat, I think that's one of the things we credit Puffy with, is that sense of using hip hop over R&B in a very smooth way. But for you guys, you're in the studio and they're playing the track. Do they already have the song written, or do you guys get involved in helping write the song?
No, we definitely were involved in helping write the songs, giving input and stuff like that. The night we recorded Juicy, it was written by Terry Robinson. Okay. I never forget, same thing, the morale, we had a lot of artists dropping in, wishing us luck. I think when we recorded Can't You See, it was the first time I ever met Snoop Dogg. He stopped by and Terry wrote the song, and she gave us our parts, and the record was a hit. Like,
what did the family, because you talked about your mom being an inspiration, and for you it was a sense of growing up thinking, how do I support mom and the rest of the family? How did she think? What was her response seeing her girl just all of a sudden, on a massive track?
She was proud. My mom was very supportive. She would come to the video shoots, be there from start to finish. She would come to us, the parties, whether it was her side. She was very, very, very supportive. She was right there by my side the whole time, like cheering me on.
I'm sure you must have been instantly recognizable in the local community after your video came out. How did you manage that transition from being obscure to being, well known by everyone around?
I mean, that part made me a little uncomfortable, because it's just like you accomplish this thing, but your life is kind of still the same, like financially, stuff like that. So you like you said, you're still out, and people's misconceptions, like, oh, just because you're on TV, you done made it, you got $1 million, you rich. No, we were still grinding, and it would just make me a little uncomfortable. So normally I would just be in and out real fast. I move real fast. I can switch by you and you won't even know it. So it was just kind of laid low.
Was it very similar to, because I think a lot of us were very shocked when we saw the New Edition documentary, where they had big records, they're going on tour, then they go back to the projects. Was it anything like that for you guys, with the big hit record and touring, and then did you move up to, Manhattan or something?
No, I mean, initially the three of us had to live together. So we moved in with our manager.
Okay.
We lived in Jersey City and we lived in Brooklyn. So, just being out in New York and stuff like that, you blend in, like you just blend in. When we would go home, we all came from predominantly good homes. None of us really grew up in the projects and stuff like that. So it's not like we had to go back to these horrific lives, you know what I'm saying? But it still was kind of like, all right, we still wanted to level up.
Yeah. See, the album came out quickly, a single came out quickly, 95, but we had to wait another year or so for the album. Was it something that wasn't planned or prepared, or was it just that they were struggling finding the right songs?
I mean, I just think, honestly, when Can't You See came out, the song was so huge that I don't think we were like prepared for that. We didn't think the song was going to do what it did. So instantly, I think after we did Can't You See, they put us on another soundtrack, Soul Food, while we were working on the album. And then, after that, Puffy was like, y'all got to get in the studio, get your album done. And I think it was just, timing, like you said, finding the right songs and stuff like that kind of set the process back. But back in the day, like artists back then, they weren't dropping like records every week. So, we gave our time to be creative, made sure we had the right records. We wanted to do timeless music. So although we did have this really good buzz going on, we still wanted to make sure that we put out a quality project, and that was priority.
How were you able to get involved in any writing of that first album?
We were able, like, they would do writing sessions. A lot of our stuff really didn't make it on there, but we were awarded the opportunity to be students. You know what I'm saying? Like, to learn. It wasn't just like, here, y'all just do this record. Okay. They would definitely have like writing sessions, media sessions. Keisha wrote a few lines on some songs. We had creative control of our interludes and stuff like that. For us, we understood it was a process, and you showed your growth. We weren't we were raw talent, you know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't these kids who went to music school and majored in music and stuff like that. Everything with us was very raw. So, but we were definitely afforded the opportunities to step in there and do that.
I think one of the things that our audience would be aware of is that a lot of R&B acts were, in some cases, taken advantage of, because, you mentioned doing Juicy and not realizing that the things that have to be put in there. Did anyone have your back in those early days to say, okay, this is what needs to be done on the album, this is what's going to happen, so that there was no surprises, that you were aware of that, the fact if you're not right? Definitely.
Biggie made sure we got paid. We did get paid for the record. We still do make money from the record. If not, I think now it does say featuring Total. I'm not sure. But, initially, get it, that wasn't the plan. Biggie's first record wasn't supposed to be a feature. You understand what I'm saying? So, but we did get paid, and we do still get royalties, performance royalties for being on this record.
So I was referring to your first album. So when you got to your album, when you were doing your first Total album, did your manager explain, okay, this is what happens, how it gets split, so there's no surprises? You could go platinum and there's no surprise as to how things work out.
Yes, we definitely understood, the story of the budgets, but back then, again, artists, we had big budgets, and we spent big money on videos, wardrobe, artist development. So you very seldom recoup. So we knew, exactly that, we want to get car service every day. That's coming out of our budget. We have to pay that. Like a lot of artists back then really only seen money from touring.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.